Hey everybody, Peter here. Just another nice sunny day. I'm out here getting some vitamin D from the powerful sun beaming down upon me. I'm actually doing some train watching. There's a little train yard right here, train station. Freight and passenger trains come through, trying to get inspired by machinery. And there's some nature, as there's plants growing here. And also, there was a moment in a video recently when we were looking at Dan's apartment, but I accidentally called it Hank's apartment, as some of you noticed, and were very confused. But there's an explanation, okay? I apologize for the confusion. It's actually because Dan got a dog named Hank, and actually brought them both out here to enjoy this beautiful day. Look at the clouds. They're so nice and puffy. I love that. Here they are. Aw, Dan and Hank enjoying this beautiful day. As always, Dan seems to be perpetually either over or underdressed, but he has this adorable new dog to keep him company, and it is just the cutest dog ever. Aren't you, Hank? Yes, you are. Anyways, I expect they'll have lots of great adventures together, and I'm glad I could bring them out here on such a nice day. Anyways, we should probably go do some drawing now. Starting to sweat through my shirt. But I'm glad I got to see some plants and some trains.
Recollections fade like the sun at the end of the day. But I thought I heard you say that we'll all be here again. So goodbye, sun ray. It's a warmer shade of gray. How much does the darkness weigh if the day is coming again? The moon shines bright with the sun's light, and even at night everything is alright. So hello, sunray, join me here today. I just like to say I can take what's coming again.
Alright, so there are a few things I want to say about this little intro. A couple of notes. First of all, yes, that little song you just heard was something I just wrote a few minutes ago. Is probably terribly obvious. I didn't polish it up at all. Sometimes when I write little songs like that, I add a little drum track or something with Ableton, or some little extra background noises, some bleeps and bloops maybe. No, that I just recorded in one take, actually. Hey, go me. And there you go. It's a song about the sun coming and going, and days coming and going, and how sometimes a new fresh day can give us hope. And there are almost always new fresh days. Well, I guess until there aren't. Anyways, also, I do, as I put some little overlaying text at the beginning of the video, I am so sorry for the wind at the beginning. When I was trying to record myself talking out in that beautiful, and it was a beautiful day, except for how hot it was. But sometimes it's really hot outside, and the sun is just beating down on you. And it's a little bit uncomfortable, but also it just kind of makes you feel alive or something, right? Usually I like the cold because it makes me feel alive, and the sun kind of makes me feel a little bit dead in some way, like it makes me feel slow and sluggish, the sun does have this weird way of sapping the energy out of you, but sometimes the sun hits me just right. I think maybe it also has something to do with the amount of humidity in the air. I'm not sure about how all the, I don't even know if that is even science, there, I'm sure if you dive into it deep enough, there is science. But right now, I'm just talking about how I feel, and I felt good that day, even though it was hot and I was sweating and I was just out there being pummeled to a crisp by the sun, and it felt good. Watching the trains, I was in like, I think there used to be like another part of a train depot there, and I was sitting on some concrete pad where something used to be, and it was really overgrown. Like nothing much happens there anymore, kind of abandoned. Sometimes they park train cars there, sometimes they park these big lines of train cars where the train company workers like live in for a while when they're working in the area. But other than that, not much happens. Excuse me. And oh yeah, what I was gonna say is I want to apologize for the wind. The wind was like jackhammering the microphone, and it is not something you can tell is happening while you're recording, especially when you're recording with really low-end equipment like I was. Like I was just using a camcorder. Really, I should have used like a camcorder with an external microphone with one of those, I think they're called dead kittens. Kind of a interesting name, but it's like a really fluffy cover for your microphone that blocks all the wind sounds. Really useful. Something I should have been using and wasn't. Also, usually use like, unless you're using a really nice camcorder, you use like an external sound recorder, which you can monitor the noise levels on, and I would have seen it spiking probably, or I could have, plugged in my little headphones or something. And anyways, I went out there totally unprepared, just thinking I could just sit out there and point the camera at myself and start talking to myself, and everything would be fine. The only thing I was thinking about the wind was how nice and cool and refreshing it felt, and how it was, it's like, wow, the wind feels great. I didn't think about how it was murdering the microphone. And anyways, so thank you for powering through that. Hopefully you could hear something of what I was saying in the intro. You could see Dan's new pet dog, right? In that other, if some of you remember that video when I apparently said it was Hank's apartment instead of Dan's apartment, the fridge, I had no idea I made that slip of the tongue until so many people were commenting about it, wondering why I said Hank. And I was like, I don't know who Hank is. Why are you guys talking about Hank? And it's just funny how you can say things and not realize you said them. Anyways, so I apologize for getting everyone confused. I think now I totally realize why I said it is because you might have noticed in the fridge there is a bottle of Hank's cream soda. Like it says it on there. I must have noticed that in there, and it was in the back of my mind, and then it came to the front of my mind, and then the back of my tongue, and then the front of my tongue, and bloop, right out from between my lips, into the camera, onto the internet, and into your ears. And that's how it happened. Makes sense. Anyway, so then I had to think of a way to explain it away, and it became this whole big thing that ended up with Dan getting a new dog named Hank. Anyways, a little bit about this drawing. As someone asked on Instagram, I really did get about 4/5 of the way through it before I realized I wanted to make it a train. Except I'm not sure this is really a train. Maybe is it more accurate to say this is a locomotive or a train engine? I don't know. My brother-in-law is very much into trains. He's like a train enthusiast. He makes the model trains. He goes to conventions. Maybe does a little bit of train chasing, train watching, recording, etc. Sure, he'd know what to call this. I've got some of the basic parts of a train here, such as wheels. I even drew the rail under it at the end just to solidify what it was. And I did something I don't do here a lot with a lot of these abstract contraptions, which is draw a person next to it to give it scale. Lots of times when I draw these sort of things, I don't like adding people. I mean, sometimes I do draw those abstract, bulbous, blobby people, but those are kind of just part of the abstraction because I don't usually add those as part of the scenery. The difference with the person I added here, and I don't know if I've gotten to that part of the video yet, but I add this person, and it kind of gives the rest of everything going on here a bit of scale. And I do it sometimes, but not very often. A lot of times, like those people I add, I think, are just kind of floating around in kind of a universe of nothingness, right? Kind of like if you took a bunch of weird lines and then some of the weird lines just kind of happen to look like a person, and they're all being flushed down a toilet at the same time, and it was just a swirling mass. In those cases, me adding a person didn't really add much more frame of reference, but here I added a little guy, the train conductor or the engineer or whatever it's called. I added him on the back of it, hanging on, waving at you, and it really gave scale to the whole thing and maybe a little bit more playfulness. I don't know. I liked it though. I drew his hands kind of like, well, to me it reminded me of this author and illustrator, I think, named Glenn Rounds. There are these children's picture books I used to read when I was a little kid. Anyone else used to read Glenn Rounds books? Hands? Anyone know? Anyone remember those? There was one book I read that I remember distinctly about. It was like an ocean liner that got crashed into in New York City, and like they didn't know how to. They were driving their ocean liner and they didn't know how to stop it, and then they just kept on going and they just drove it right down like the main street of New York City, and they're just cruising it straight down between all the skyscrapers, and everyone was just like waving to them, and they were waving back from their ship or something. It was something ridiculous like that. I don't remember. Anyways, I like how this one turned out. I intentionally did a lot of vertical parallel lines. Instead of trying to make all my lines too swirly and mishmashy, I tried to keep it a little bit more structural towards the beginning. Tried to rein myself in a little bit more, right? And of course I got away from myself a little bit from time to time, which is okay, understandable, but it was more of like an experiment with myself to see what would happen if I did just make like tons of vertical lines. And if you look and see, there are tons of vertical lines in this drawing of different sizes and sorts, but a lot of them are just very similar. And I think it turned out well. It gives some consistency to the drawing, something for the eye to latch onto. And then when some of the lines aren't vertical and the same size, maybe those ones look more interesting. I don't know. One person on Instagram said this looked like a steam calliope, which is like something you maybe see at like carnivals, which is basically, I think, like a steam locomotive, or it's like a steam engine that plays music on train whistles, like different sized train whistles, maybe some sort of like hybrid version of that and an organ, like a pipe organ, a bunch of different whistles, that play different notes, and then the steam goes through and plays them at different times, and you get it's a very kind of iconic sounding music. I just like that word calliope because I'm pretty sure it's pronounced calliope, but then isn't there like something in Greek, like a Greek goddess or something that's pronounced calliope, right? I'm pretty sure I looked this up at one point, not recently, so I'm doubting myself now, but I'm pretty sure the Greek thing is pronounced calliope, and then the carnival thing is called calliope. But someone in the comments will know. Let me know. Someone, usually I kind of find myself stumbling across a weird range of topics in some of these commentaries, but no matter what I speak on, however obscure it is, like a calliope, a weird steam-powered wagon with a bunch of whistles on it playing carnival music, someone in the comments is inevitably and invariably someone has been bestowed with incredible amounts of knowledge on whatever topic it is. And I'm thankful that they bestow a little bit of that knowledge back on us. So if you know, say so. I don't mind at all. I find it very interesting to read these comments, and I just go through and I read and I learn, and it's fun. Anyways, so thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all around, okay? All right, goodbye.